having a relationship with a printer can be a massive boost to your design career. And there's a whole bunch of different reasons that we're going to dive into that explain why and how to go about them. Not just like cool things that it can do. I don't know why I did that, but and how to go about them, how to establish that relationship, how to find that printer, all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, should we just get into it?
Yeah, I mean that was getting into it now. Anyway,
That was like a good. I
that
just wanted
was
to like, what was it like
preemptive.
frame frame the conversation. Frame the conversation. So a designer, you might be sitting there wondering, how do I even find a printer? How do I go about that? Well, we have a few different ways that we suggest and that we teach within Print Design Academy. There's a serious strobe light going on.
I'm always happy with
There you
it
go.
down just a little bit.
Bring it down a little bit. Yeah, that's fine there.
Party mode. I know.
Um,
I was like, anyway.
Step one to finding a printer in your area that you can connect with is through design associations.
Totally.
So wherever you live, there in a city nearby, if not the city that you live in, there will be an RGD or a Descan if you're in Canada. There will be a AIGA or some sort of design organization that you can connect with. Printers that love serving designers
Yeah.
are part of those organizations, are sponsoring those organizations. So start there.
Mhm.
Going to their events, checking out their website, what printers in my area are sponsoring them. Start there, reach out to those printers. Hey, I'm so and so. I was at an AIGA event, and I saw, you were part of it. Would love to sort of chat more about print and packaging. Boom. Beautiful start to the conversation.
Mhm. And they're usually, I mean, they're excited to talk about what they do anyway. So it's like,
Of
it's not,
course.
so it's not a hard sell to
Yeah.
have a conversation with them. So
No. Hey, printer, would you like
Yeah.
to talk about print and packaging? Nah.
and like,
No.
oh, I saw you sponsored. It's like they sponsored to, be a part of the community to help out and also get their name out there. Like they're
Yeah.
expecting you to go and say hi to them, right?
Exactly. You're hoping and expecting.
Yeah, they're like, please.
So a designer or a printer that's putting money into an AIGA or a local design association is a bigger part of the design community and is financially supporting the design community
Yeah.
because they want it to do great things. So it's a great reciprocal way of showing them, hey, I see you and I'd love to learn more about print and packaging. And they're going to feel great about that.
Yeah.
So that's the first step. If by chance you don't have a design association in the city near you, or it's too far out, or whatever it is, then you can kick it over to like the good old Google machine and just like the biggest city say if it's Austin. This is a terrible example because Austin will have like a dozen design organizations, but like Austin commercial printers or Austin packaging printers or Austin what's the word I'm looking for? Labels, label
I was gonna
printers.
say
or
the
whatever.
both. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So like then you can kick it over to Google and to start having a look at some websites and start seeing like who's starting to feel like they resonate with you. That's where branding is important. Printers, that website and branding better be on point. So start there. And then make a list of 3 to 5 printers in maybe ones that seem to specialize in packaging, seem to specialize in different areas of print, and just kind of build out that list.
Yeah.
Now, once you have that list, you got to phone them. I know it sounds scary. You got to phone them. Pick up the phone.
A little roll dial.
Yeah. If you have a roll dial. I was just going to open up the chat here just in case.
I know. I was
Where's
like,
that
I
button?
can't.
There it is.
I was gonna say that, but
There. Kick it
there we
open.
go.
Cool. Okay. So then just phone them up, ask for sales because sales are going to be the ones to fill you in on information. And that plays into something else that's coming up later on. Okay. So don't be afraid of sales. They can be your best buds in putting this thing down. And the few questions that you want to ask them, you want to get a gauge on what type of work that they do, what kind of work that printer specializes in, and what kind of work that they do in-house. Now, this isn't necessary if they don't do a type of work in-house.
Right.
It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's good to know what they're handling in-house, what they need to outsource, to bring certain projects to life. And the reason I want to sort of talk about this and explain this is a lot of smaller digital shops that are not usually in the game of 20,000 books kind of print work will have a printer that they outsource that print work to. And my advice is that the more steps you have in between you and the actual printer who's printing your work is just potential for communication breakdown.
Mhm.
That's all.
Well, and yeah, that, and then also you do want to know how long something would take too, in terms of if you are outsourcing,
Mhm.
is your project on rush, or if there's any issues going back, trying to get other proofs, like all of that stuff
Yeah.
does make a difference. But again, like if the product comes through and you're fine with having a bit of that, and it's a great product, even though it's an outsourced thing,
Mhm.
then there's nothing wrong with it,
Yeah.
right? But yeah.
I guess the other thing with an outsource, so a smaller digital shop
Yeah.
that's outsourcing a big offset project because it's too big for them to do in house, um, you lose control of the communication and timeline a
Yeah.
bit, but also you're unsure, like you said, of the
Yeah.
quality.
Mhm.
And usually when you're about to connect with a printer, and we'll talk about this in a sec, is samples. Seeing the work is important. Seeing the shop, getting a
Mhm.
feel for it, a vibe for it. Is it a shop that you want to be connected with? And that sort of thing. It's a big important part of that relationship. So by, having somebody who doesn't do the type of work you want to produce in-house and they're always outsourcing it, my advice would be to find a shop that does do that kind of work in-house and just be closer to the process. It'll be way more advantageous for your design career to just be closer to the process.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind when you're looking for printers and you're asking them, get as close to the person who's actually putting your ink on paper as possible.
Totally.
Um, so after you've gone through this list and you found out, okay, these guys do labels, these guys specialize in packaging, but can also do labels, you figure out kind of who's who does the work you want to do in-house, schedule a tour.
Mm.
And there's so many advantages to going to a printer. We've had students in Print Design Academy go on tours and actually win design work from those
Mm.
tours. So that's just one of the small advantages of going on a tour. But the other one is seeing and being immersed in that print environment.
Oh, for sure.
The press is running, the die cutters
Mhm,
cranking out
mhm.
stuff. Being around that is so exciting. It's awesome to see. It's great to be in that environment and to see how the stuff comes together, see how it's made. Because you can then take that knowledge back to your design work.
Totally.
You're designing more efficiently for the print and the presses and the processes of that printer that you want to work with. You're understanding the print process better. So your files are cleaner, your design process and planning is cleaner, your communication to your client way more clean because you've seen it.
Mhm.
You've seen how it comes to life. So you can be that vessel of answering questions to your client and things like that.
Yeah, if you're a designer and you've never been to a print shop, that's step one.
Get into
Yeah,
a printer.
it's so much more exciting to see it and actually go inside. Like, yeah, there's nothing like it. So actually understanding it and seeing
It's
it
cool.
firsthand is all the machines running, and
Yeah.
these machines are like, a lot of them are really old. Like, they're still working better than the newer machines, and
Yeah.
it's just such a cool thing.
And some of the advantages, like I know print shops sometimes prefer some of the older
Yeah.
equipment because it's all mechanical. You don't run into any electrical issues or things like that. If it breaks down, it's not a computer chip you need to
I
replace.
know.
It's like, oh, there's a solenoid or here's a gear or
Yeah.
something. Like it's mechanical, so it's easier to understand
Mhm.
and it's freaking cool when
Yeah.
it's running.
They're beasts.
Yeah, absolute
They-
beast cranking
they
through
work,
print
yeah.
work, but also a lot of cool new tech out there.
Yeah.
Just to say that. So let's say you've done that. Designer, you've gone on some tours, you got some print shops locked in, you know who you want to connect with. How can that relationship help your career? First up, we talked a little bit about seeing how it's made allows you to design better for print, right? Inspiration, samples, because every tour you go on, you will walk out with samples.
Yes.
Cool work that's been printed before, stuff that the printer really wants to share and showcase, stuff that they maybe printed and produced internally that they want to share with you and want to share out there to show, hey, we can do this. Look at this cool thing. You get to start building a collection of inspirational print stuff that then you can use as ideas and little sparks of excitement for your print projects that you are designing. Income.
Yes.
Increased income.
We like income.
So when you've established that relationship with a printer, there is likely an opportunity for you to get preferred pricing.
Mm.
So you being a designer looking at, upselling or marking up this print project to make a little bit of money on that for your time and for your management and for the risk of you looking after it and paying for it, you need to make a little bit of markup for that. Printers understand that. So printers will often give you preferred discount pricing so that then you can add 5%, add 10%, at 20% maybe, depending on what the project is.
Mhm.
But you can then make on top of that print project, increasing your design business income. Okay, so that's another big benefit of, and you have to have a relationship with it. You can't roll up to a printer that you've never done work with before, you've never talked to before, and say, "I'd like a discount."
That's gonna go well.
How yeah,
Extremely
yeah,
well.
that's not going to fly, not going to go well. So building that relationship, super important. The other one, last point I want to make is referrals. We have heard many stories from students in our Print Design Academy, but also other designers that I've talked with throughout my career, designers who I've given referrals and projects to, where other customers of mine, as a print sales rep, said, "Hey, do you know a designer that can do this?" But yeah, let me introduce you to this person.
Mhm.
So I've actually referred business through a designer relationship of, my other customers when they're looking for design work.
Yeah, I mean, well, the whole industry is about connectivity and communication, and I think that it's so much more powerful when we're actually working together and building that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because why not? And it's and I think that there's enough niches and things too, where you're not really stepping on each other's toes, or maybe you're busier and someone else needs to take it and whatever. So, but yeah, and then especially with printers, right? That's that huge bond that's usually missing, is like we kind of keep the designers, the printers doing things,
Yeah.
but it's so important to have
Yeah.
all the pieces working together, right? So,
Yeah. And I guess like in that print design world right now, Canva's doing print,
yeah.
Vistaprint has been around forever.
Mhm.
There's like moo.com and
Yeah.
places like that do just like business card work or
Mhm.
whatever else that they do other stuff as well, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. But like those have a place, but I will always be an advocate for connecting with a local printer.
Yeah.
You're not going to go tour a moo.com printer. You're not going to go tour Vistaprint.
Mhm.
Like you're just not going to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're missing a chunk of knowledge, an opportunity for you to grow in your design career
Mhm.
and communicate better. And like that one rule that I always want you to stick with is get as close to where the ink is being put on paper as possible. Right? And through those other online providers, you're not going to get that.
Mhm.
So connecting with local printers is super
Mhm.
important. Local printers won't be a fit for every project that you do,
Yeah.
but for a lot, they could do it.
Mhm.
For a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
So just before I make the sort of switch point on, hey, printers want to hear from you and talk a little bit about that, you might be wondering, well, don't I have to print 10 or 20 print projects with a printer to build that relationship? Nope, not at all. In fact, you don't have to print any project with them before you can build that relationship. Starting with the tour, keeping in touch with them, asking questions,
Mhm.
sending funny memes or gifts
Yeah.
through email.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
keeping in touch after that tour, after you get samples, finding other printout in the world and asking them how it was made, asking them, to tell you a little bit about this, using them as a learning resource and sharing knowledge back and forth with them is building and establishing that
Mhm.
relationship. That's all good. They want to hear from you, which ties into the next thing we'll talk about. Designers, printers want to hear from you.
Mhm.
They love what they do. They love their craft. They love showcasing their work. Don't be afraid to reach out to them because you don't have a print project right now. That's okay. As soon as you're out of design school, while you're in design school,
Mhm.
connect with a local printer. Go on
Yeah.
tours, do these things that we've talked about and told you to do, and you will start building those relationships that could last your whole design career
Mhm.
and send you business, build a shelf of inspiration,
Yeah.
and help you grow your design business income.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, and it's good to do it before you have a print project, right? Like it's even better. Like
So true.
you don't want to be scrambling the minute your first project comes to life, and you're sitting there trying to figure out who do I print,
Oh,
da, da, da,
who
like
could
what's
do
the
this work?
price,
Yeah.
and like this and all that. So yeah, building those beforehand is just prepping you up for success. And then I also think that, like printers, a lot of the time printers are getting a lot of design work, like the clients come to printers and like, hey, and then like, oh, can you fix this? Can you do this? And so all the time there's like
Yes.
some work that needs to be taken off and put to. So yeah, on that side as well, like I'm sure the printers will also send
You'd almost say
jobs
like
over.
the majority of customers
Yeah.
who are working with printers,
Mhm.
if like they're working direct, like designers typically know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Some of them need help
Yeah.
with like understanding print and
Mhm.
packaging design and sending files correctly
Yeah.
and all that jazz. But when a printer is dealing with a customer direct, maybe it's a purchaser or an
Mhm.
in-house marketing
Mhm.
person, it is highly likely that the files that they get from that person will not be dialed in.
No.
We'll need some changes. We'll need some help. Throughout my career at both printers in the
Mhm.
sales world, at least weekly, if not every few days, somebody needed design changes, design help.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like some small copy stuff.
Mhm.
Other times it's, hey, can you redesign this and get some new images and stuff in there?
Yep.
And you'd kind of have to figure it out if you
Yeah.
don't have a referral people to refer people to.
I mean, I did pre-press for a week.
Yeah.
You know, and my first week was literally that I was designing something. I was redrawing a logo. I was, you know, like I was doing all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because the logo was like some JPEG and RGB, and it was thing, and it was a lime green, and like, you know, it was just the worst thing. So yeah, so definitely, I mean, the printers will have that capacity
Yeah.
because they know it gets in there, but oftentimes they're like, I just don't want to, you know,
Yeah.
they have other stuff to do. So they'll definitely
Yeah.
need some design help. And also, it's better to like a lot of these mom and pop businesses and stuff. They're doing it Canva, they're doing it whatever. But when you really show them, and I had that happen to me too. Like, client came in or whatever and sort of had a something, but then I was able to show them a different version of like if you have a designer doing something, it's like wow, that's so much better or whatever, you know,
This
rather than doing
doesn't
themselves.
feel like a template.
Yeah,
This is
you
great.
know, so
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a good relationship to have all around for the income sides on all sides, right?
100%. Because in pre-press as well, like your job is to prepare something for press, not
Mhm.
to do design stuff.
No.
So it actually pulls you out of the traditional workflow.
Yeah.
And to be fair, not a lot of printers want to be doing design work.
Mm.
They want to have relationships with designers that they can send this work to. They want to help designers and have a great relationship there. They don't want to take work away from designers. They just want to do the pre-press stuff to get it ready so that it looks best on press.
Mhm.
That's what they want to do.
Mhm.
So printers want you to connect with them so that when they get those calls from customers who are saying, hey, I just need a little bit of design work, you're like, you know what? You got to connect with Gabby. She does great design work and she can get this ready for print for you and she can just make it look really great.
Mhm.
So connect with her. And boom, then the printer's now referring you business. Okay, so a great cyclical relationship.
I feel like that's
That feels like something. I don't know if cyclical is the right. That's
I
definitely
don't-
not the right
I
word.
don't
It's
think
not.
that's the
It's not
right
right word.
word.
You know what I mean? Reciprocation. It's kind of.
Oh,
a
okay.
reciprocal.
Okay. I'm like,
I am not the best speaker. I'll be the first to say
Oh,
that. But
gosh.
anyways,
Anyway,
we have fun here.
um,
Yeah, reciprocal
Yeah.
relationship where you're passing work back and forth. And it's all good for your career. It's great for the printer because they can offload some of that design work that they don't really want to be doing in the first place. And it's all good there. So that's it. Designers, connect with a printer today. Like right now,
Right now.
look up the, like pause this now that it's near the end. Pause this and look up the design associations or organizations in your community. Find out what printers in the area are sponsoring them or are part of that organization, and immediately reach out and connect with them. Send an email if you're watching this late at night, but try and phone them and connect with somebody in sales because they're just gonna bring good, beautiful things.
Yes.
That's what we're saying there. Awesome. That was today's live stream. Thanks everybody. We'll be back next week. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
See you later.
Oh.
Button.
Button.